You look down to tune a radio frequency or study an approach chart. When you look back up, the windows fill with gray cloud, the yoke shakes violently in your hands, and the aircraft plunges toward the ground. You have entered an unusual attitude. In aviation, this is defined as any attitude not normally used during flight solely on instruments. It includes steep bank angles, extreme nose-high climbs, or severe nose-low dives. To get out of this safely, you have to diagnose exactly what the airplane is doing and execute a specific sequence of physical inputs using only the gauges in front of you. In the clouds, your inner ear will lie to you. It will make a deadly spiral feel like straight and level flight. Trusting a rigid, mechanical recovery sequence is the only way to survive. The moment you suspect an unusual attitude, external visual references are useless. Your focus must lock entirely onto the instrument panel. This diagram shows your priority, rapidly increasing your scan rate across the core instruments. You start with the attitude indicator. It immediately shows if your bank angle exceeds 30 degrees, or if your nose is dangerously high or low. But extreme attitudes can cause the gyroscope inside the attitude indicator to tumble and fail. You must immediately cross-check its reading against the airspeed indicator and the altimeter to verify the data is real. If the altitude and airspeed match the pitch shown on the horizon line, the instrument is healthy. You are now reacting to the physical reality of the airplane, not a single broken gauge. First, let's look at the nose-low attitude. You will recognize this when the attitude indicator shows mostly ground, your airspeed is rapidly increasing, and your altitude is dropping. A steep dive accelerates the aircraft towards its VNE, the never exceed speed. If you pass this red line speed on the indicator, the aerodynamic forces can overstress and permanently damage the airframe. This split diagram demonstrates step 1 of the recovery: reduce power. By pulling the throttle back, you remove thrust and use the windmilling propeller to create drag. Step 2 is to level the wings using coordinated inputs until the miniature airplane sits flat against the horizon. Never pull back on the control column before leveling the wings. If you pull back while steeply banked, you will not stop the descent. You will simply tighten the aircraft into a spiral dive. Once the wings are perfectly level, step 3 is to apply firm, smooth backward pressure on the yoke to ease the aircraft out of the straight dive until your altitude stops dropping. Executing this exact sequence, power, wings, pitch, arrests the loss of altitude while keeping the G-forces safely within the aircraft's structural limits. The exact opposite scenario is the nose-high attitude. Here, the attitude indicator points at the sky, your airspeed is plummeting, and your altimeter shows a climb. The immediate threat here is not structural damage, but an aerodynamic stall. If the airspeed drops too low, you exceed the critical angle of attack, and the wings will stop generating lift. Because a stall can happen in seconds, a nose-high recovery requires 3 physical actions executed at the exact same time, not sequentially. This diagram illustrates these actions. You must simultaneously push the yoke forward to lower pitch, turn it to level the wings, and advance the throttle to full power. During this sudden change, ignore the vertical speed indicator. The pressure changes cause extreme lag, giving false readings until the aircraft stabilizes. Applying full power while pushing the nose down instantly trades your climbing altitude for airspeed. This keeps air flowing smoothly over the wings, preventing a stall. Occasionally, a suction failure or an extreme maneuver will cause your primary attitude indicator to tumble completely. This leaves you flying on a partial panel. This diagram maps out how to diagnose pitch without that central gauge. You rely on the airspeed indicator's trend. Increasing speed means nose low, decreasing means nose high. To figure out bank, read the miniature airplane symbol on the turn coordinator instead of the artificial horizon. Once you diagnose the attitude using these secondary instruments, the physical inputs do not change. You execute the exact same power, wings, pitch sequence for a dive, or the simultaneous pitch, wings, power input for a climb. By understanding how these secondary instruments react to pitch and roll, you maintain total control of the aircraft, even when your primary window to the horizon goes completely dark. You know the recovery is successful when you verify 3 things. The airspeed indicator holds steady at your cruise speed, the altimeter is frozen at a constant altitude, and your wings are level.
This diagram shows the final required chore. Violent maneuvers often cause the gyros to drift, so you must cross-check your heading indicator against the magnetic compass and synchronize them. With the aircraft back in straight and level flight, take a breath. Then, immediately identify the cockpit distraction or radio call that broke your instrument scan in the first place, so you don't repeat the mistake. Load a flight simulator and drill these distinct recovery profiles. Build the muscle memory now in a safe environment so that if the clouds ever close in and your plane rolls over, your hands already know exactly what to do.